Former President Trump speaking 2 weeks ago saying black people like him because he's been hurt and discriminated against. But that is not sitting well with some people. And you may know him from watching the NBA. That is Charles Barkley. But he's not happy with what Trump had to say. And he said so on national television. Here's his reaction.
If I see a black person walking around with Trump mugshot, I'm gonna punch him in the face.
Charles.
No, Gail.
Charles.
Gail.
You really can't say that because A, you don't mean that.
Oh, I mean that sincerely. I'm gonna just tell you something.
And then you will be arrested for assault. And then what?
I'm gonna bail myself out and go celebrate.
Depending on the state, he wouldn't even have to pay. Barkley, again, going on to say he would punch someone in the face, a black person, if they wore a T-shirt displaying this image here, the mugshot of the 45th president. Let's talk about it now with Stephen Davis. He's better known as MAGA Hulk, and he's back on National Report. Hey, Stephen, nice to see you. Just wanted to get your thoughts. What's your reaction to Charles Barkley, what he had to say?
I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. As a person of his size, his platform, he should not be espousing such things. It's egregious. He needs to be more careful of the things that he says, and especially since there's a lot of impressionable people who are going to listen to this and try to enact the same thing, which I would definitely discourage immensely, if you will, especially with someone like me. But it's actually rather interesting. This is coming from a person, the same person who once called Trump supporters crazy, right? I mean, who's the crazy person now, Charles? You know, as you sound like the prototypical unhinged leftist suffering from TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. So this is egregious. He knows better than to say something like this, and I hope that people don't take him literally in this regard, because they're going to land in a lot of legal trouble once they don't have the bail money to bail themselves out.
What's going on, everyone? It's Fox Kitty here today, and Charles Barkley just sparked a lot of reactions this week, calling threatening comments about like hitting black conservatives in the face if they wear a Trump mugshot. I saw from the intro there was a guy, Mega Hulk. I guess you guys are familiar with him. He was very popular during the 2020 elections, and I think he lives in California. And he highlights a lot of things that I don't think Charles Barkley was being literal, right? And this is one of the pictures they used in this next clip I'm about to show you. Charles Barkley gets confronted a lot about the reaction of this. Anyone seen Charles Barkley? I heard he was looking for me. I grew up in the "you hit me, I'm gonna hit you back" era. Right, and this is a prominent black conservative. His name is Zeke Arkham, and I made a comment before. I was like, hey, like. Charles Barkley was doing this just to look tough in front of his liberal audience, right? That it sparks this idea that like he's threatening violence against this, and you know, a lot of people, especially in this radical world we live in now, that the left loves to resort to violence when they don't get their way, when people deviate from their expectations, and this has been a common trope that's been kind of directed at black conservatives. If you notice with Clarence Thomas, anytime like a black person even shows any open support with conservatives or Republicans, it gets demonized in the black community. And this is a common trope, right? Because black people always talk about how they never met a person that was black and voted Republican. And when they finally do meet this person, instead of trying to go into a path of, hey, let me understand why you guys identify with this Trump mugshot, they go into demonizing, hey, you're not doing things exactly how we want you to go, right? Black people are not a monolith, but the minute you meet black people that don't agree with you, that don't react the same way about certain things and issues, all of a sudden you have a problem. And his main point is that, black people, it's insulting that Trump's trying to identify with the plight of black people, but black people needs to stop acting like they're the only ones that face struggle, that face discrimination. They're not the only people that face discrimination in this country. Irish people face discrimination in this country. Woodrow Wilson is a perfect example of this. When Woodrow Wilson was president, a Democrat president, by the way, immigrants was coming over here, Irishmen, people from Italy, they were being discriminated against. People want them to have jobs and all this stuff. Like, discrimination isn't something exclusively to black people. And I think it's this kind of self-centeredness that a lot of black liberals find themselves in. They want to talk about history, but they don't want to show out the history about how people of different races, different colors face discrimination before, right? And for the fact they want to get angry at the fact that Donald Trump is identifying with that, and he's speaking about certain trends that he observed, all of a sudden that warrants a black man getting punched in the face because he happens to wear a Trump shirt because he has embraced Trump. Like, it makes no sense, right? On one hand, they want everyone to understand each other, but at the same time, when someone reaches out to try to understand somebody, saying, hey, I get the sense of why black people feel the way they feel about the legal system, all of a sudden it's insulting to black people. It sounds like to me what Charles Barkley is doing is he's blinded by his ideological bias, and he's using some half-hearted rationalization to rationalize why he feels threatened about a white man identifying with a black person's struggle, while in the same breath, if Joe Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black, that's not an insult to black people. See, Charles Barkley's picking and choosing. Right. And I think it highlights an even bigger problem in the black community, that a lot of black people are very racially self-centered. They only look at history from their purview. Right. They think slavery only happened to black people, when in reality, slavery happened to everybody. Slavery was a human sin. Right. But black people sit around and trying to act like they're the only ones who face struggle. They think their lives are harder than everyone else. And I think this is one of the reasons why a lot of black conservatives embrace Donald Trump, is that we want to be one nation. We want to include ourselves in the nation. But it seems like black people, and especially in black politics, they like to exclude themselves, right? They pull themselves away instead of going forward and try to integrate into society. And I think as long as this keeps going on, you're going to keep seeing similar messages like this. Now, I digress. I think I went on a long-winded rant there. But in this next clip, Charles Barkley is kind of going to highlight and walk back some of the comments that he made. And he's changing it from he's going to like threaten violence to more like insulting black conservatives yet again. You know, obvious talking point. Let's take a look.
Been quite a few articles written about it, and that's before we even get to the social media comments, which look a lot like this gentleman. He's very large. He's wearing a mugshot, or he's wearing a mugshot of the T-shirt, or photoshops of large men wearing the T-shirt that say, I hear Charles Barkley's looking for me. They all think that you are ready to run around punching people who vote for Donald Trump. Now, I know when you say that, that was just you making a point. That's not something you would literally do, going around attacking people, right?
Well, let me say, is this my camera right there? I want to make sure people can hear me.
Yeah.
Number one, obviously, I'm not gonna go around punching random strangers in the face, first and foremost. Secondly, people can vote for who they want to.
Yes.
People can vote for who they want to. The point I was trying to make.
There you go.
No, the point I was making. I wasn't trying to make it.
Okay.
When Donald Trump compares his plight with that of the black person,
Yes.
that is what I had a problem with. Now, I do want to say this. I want to make it perfectly clear. If you're a black person and you're wearing a Donald Trump mugshot, you are a freaking idiot. And I'm only saying freaking idiot because they won't let me say what I really want to say. But you can figure it out. It starts with an F.
See, and now he's walking it back. You know, here's the article that got brought to my attention. Charles Barkley, any black person who wears a Trump mugshot shirt is a freaking idiot. Now, this goes back to my point. Like, what about Irish people? Irish people face discrimination. A lot of people didn't want to hire Irish people because they were of Irish descent, right? Like, what? So you saying Irish people can't identify with black people's struggle with discrimination, being prosecuted unjustly? Trump feel like he's being prosecuted unjustly, just like a lot of black people feel like they've been prosecuted unjustly. But for that, you're a freaking idiot, right? Oh, I don't care who you vote for. You do care who we vote for. This has been commonality of all the racial politics of black liberals throughout time. I never met no one that voted Republican before. And this is the idea that it breathes into that, right? But instead of, punching these people in the face, I want to highlight a segment because this segment is really gonna focus on the problems that I have with black liberals and a lot of people in the black community is that they hate critiques of their culture, but their culture is producing this ideological echo chamber within the black community based on race, where black people only think they have it harder than everyone else. That, their life is so much harder than someone else. They're so much poorer than someone else, when the large percentage of poor people in this country are white people. But a large swath of black people are like exaggerating the problems and obstacles that they actually have in life. But then if you put pen to paper and say, hey, show me the reality. Show me how your life is harder than someone else. When you ask these black people to quantify, sure, you may feel like your life is harder, but is your life actually harder? That's where a lot of black people start running into a struggle, right? And I want to point out an insanity with Charles Barkley that he's more willing to punch a black Trump supporter in the face or call him a freaking idiot because he doesn't see the world the same way as him. But then he's going to highlight a problem with the Democratic Party and saying, oh, now I understand why some black people would vote for Donald Trump, because the Democrat Party takes us for granted. Sorry. Let's get into the video.
On the other hand, though, but
let me ask a question,
okay.
because see, this is go back to something you said. The reason, and obviously I'm only speaking for myself. The reason I think the Democratic Party and Mr. Biden, President Biden, is losing black votes is they only care about black people every 4 years. They come into our neighborhoods and say, we're going to make stuff better. We're going to do this, do this, do this. And then finally, us black people are like, man, other than my ability to dunk a basketball, all my neighborhoods are still the same. Our schools are still the same. And that's why I think black people are leaving disappointed in the Democratic Party, because I ain't going to lie. I voted Democratic every time just because I thought it was going to help black people.
Okay, who pushed that narrative though? See, this is the problem I have, right? Black people, this is what problem I have. You do the same thing over and over and over again, and then you expect a different result, right? You pour in so much money. Oh, Democrats say, oh, let's not do school choice. School choice is not going to be good for black people. It's going to hurt access. But if I'm telling you, hey, what's the point of having access to a bad education? Would you rather have access to a good information, a competitive advantage in good information, good education, instead of having unlimited access to bad education? 76% of kids in America go to public school. Public school, if you look at the options, is the worst schooling option for American kids, especially if you want to talk about black minority students specifically. You take the same student from the same income, from the same background, you put them in charter school versus public school, the kid will do better in charter school. Black kids do better in other schooling options compared to public school. But what are the Democratic solutions for that? Just throw more money at the problem, spend more money. Spending more money in public school is like throwing money into a fire. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't produce any of the results. And then here's the funny part. When black people do get the solutions that they're advocating for, it just makes things worse for their community. War on poverty is a perfect example of this. Oh, we need to help single mothers. Single motherhood is only at 20%. Government say, yes, we're going to give you free money because you're a single mom to help you out. You get the help. It creates an incentive where black women start saying, I don't need no man now. And then they start actively choosing to be single mothers, or being more willing to be single mothers. And then it skyrockets to now, today in 2024, single motherhood is 70%. And then all the negative ills of single motherhood: higher propensity for poverty, their children tends to be criminals, high rates of crime in these areas, right? Less likely to finish school, less likely to read at a third grade level. All these black women always complain about how black men are falling behind, how black men don't go to education at the same rates as other men. But who's raising these men? Single moms. So the most educated women in America are not educating their sons for the future generations of women. And then the future generation of women are complaining about how the lack of educational success in their community because of the women that raise their sons to not be educated. You see this policy here? You see it? How you see what's wrong with it yet? So when someone of my ilk, black conservatives, say, hey, let's try a different approach. Let's try a different solution. Let's not try the solutions anymore. Let's try a solution that's more catered to let us in this current generation sacrifice for the betterment of the future generation. All we get is a bunch of no's. Because we did the short-term gain stuff. We did the short gratification. Oh, give me free money now, and then in the future, doom our community to mediocrity, low standards, poverty, lack of education, lack of educational ability, lack of academic skills to propel us into a better economic status. This is the reality of the black community. And when black conservatives speak out against it, y'all want to get mad. But y'all ain't got no facts behind y'all to back up y'all position on this. Why we should keep voting Democrat. And the Democrats, and as a black conservative, before I go back into the video, there's no incentive for the Democratic Party to actually change the situation. Because if everything stays the same, they're guaranteed to get the black vote 90% clip. So, black people, it's time to make a choice. It's time to be either you're going to be pro-black or you're going to be pro-Democrat. Because y'all love hearing the desirability of a policy, but y'all don't like to look at the feasibility of it, the complete outcome of those policies. But I digress.
And poor people. Because black people and poor white people, they're in the same boat. And like, I didn't care who the president was, I'm not gonna lie, but I only voted Republican one time in my life, and that was for John Kasich, and I didn't even know he couldn't win. But then I'm starting to look like, man, I understand why black people are leaving, want to vote for somebody else, because every 4 years they come into our neighborhood and say, man, we're gonna make things better for you.
Well, I think that's true, and I'll let you go. I do want to point out though that poor black folks have been voting for Democrats for 2 generations, not as much progress as you want. Poor white folks have been voting for Republicans in Appalachia and other places for 3 generations or 4, and not that much progress. So there's a poor people problem with both parties. But
I think what you highlighted might be a reason why some black voters stay home. But if we're asking why are certain black voters switching from Democrat to Republican, I don't think they're switching to Trump or to other Republicans because they think those Republicans are going to actually make change. I think those voters are switching for other reasons, just because they actually don't like the message that Democrats are sending to them as black people, and especially as young black people. Because again, this trend is not happening throughout black America. It's confined basically to black men under 30.
Yes, it's a generational thing. And this is something I've been trying to highlight to you black liberals. Y'all Roland Martin-ites. Y'all don't listen. That's the problem with y'all old heads. Y'all don't listen. The young bloods, we tired now. We tired of doing the same old ish and expecting a whole different thing. It ain't gonna happen. I'm under 30. I'm 27 years old. Instead of listening to us, oh, why do these young black men keep switching? Why are they going towards the Republican Party? Why are they voting for Trump? Instead of understanding it, hey, we tired of doing the same old. We tired of rewarding a party who's been having the black vote for 50 years and getting minimum outcomes. Hey, we want something new. We want to be in control of our destiny. We want to be in self-determinist. We want to be self-determining our outcomes. Who's more likely to encourage that? The Republican Party, not the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party wants you to give up control, give up power to them, so that way they do everything for you. They want to be responsible for your health care. They want to be responsible for your economic success. They want to be responsible for your housing. But what's the trade-off? You give up authority. You give up control. The government gets to control your health care. The government gets to control your housing. The government can control how much income you get or you don't get. And if you ever do something against the government, you lose all that. How's that any different than slavery? That's something you old heads has to come into reconciliation about. Because this is what something Van Jones and a lot of these old black Democrats miss out on. And they're not understanding is that we got a taste of your lifestyle already. The black people have been voting Democrat for 50 plus years at a 90% clip for the Democratic Party. And every problem we see in our society, in our culture is centered, rooted in the Democratic Party. Who started segregation? Democrats. Who nationalized segregation? Woodrow Wilson, Democrat president. Who did war on poverty? Who created the incentive that's destroyed our black families? Liberal policies, Democratic policies. Because we're starting to understand incentive. Oh, we give all the responsibility, to the government. Government put us in this position where we become docile and we're becoming comfortable in mediocrity. You put DEI, but without recognizing the fact that in black history, black people were graduating college before DEI, before affirmative action. And then after affirmative action, our dropout rates increased because now you're putting unqualified black folks into college universities. Now you're creating a new racial stereotype where people don't think, based on the color of your skin, they don't think you're actually qualified. You got there because of special treatment. Affirmative action is racism under new management. This is what the young bloods are trying to tell y'all. But y'all still want to advocate for it. Y'all still want to sit here and pretend and push this idea that my skin color is a handicap when I don't see it. What I see is you old heads, you black Democrats are trying to condition the youth to be helpless because of their skin color. Oh, you can't do something because of your skin color. You need affirmative action because without affirmative action, you will never be successful. You'll never made it in college. Cap. When if I look in history, W.E. Du Bois, the first black man to graduate Harvard, he made it without affirmative action. During the most racist, is America more racist in 2024 than in the 1920s? No. So how did W.E. Du Bois was able to graduate college, make it out as a sociologist professor in Harvard? Yet you want to tell me in 2024 that we still need affirmative action? That if we remove affirmative action, black folks will be held back? Huh? Make it make sense.
I have a. You're concerned about.
How old are you, Coleman? Do you mind?
28.
28. Mm-hmm.
And we're proud of you, by the way. I mean, this brother for a 28-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're making us proud.
Thank you, Van.
I think you're onto something, and at the same time, I question this. This is also the generation that's mostly on social media, and often is only getting their news now through TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah.
And I'm concerned that there are some concerted efforts, maybe even not from the United States efforts, to push this distress and this depression and this. I don't think it's just Democrats run a victim narrative. I think you're saying Democrats run a victim narrative, people don't like that. That's never been that appealing. But I think there's something happening on social media where I'm seeing over and over again messages basically saying don't vote, saying why should we vote, acting as if nothing has been achieved. I would say at least this. Maybe you can't get what you want by voting, but you can sure lose what you got by not voting.
Yeah.
And so you at least need to vote defensively. And that seems to be being pushed back on. So I think...
No, and this is a problem with black folks, because I remember when I made the argument, hey, change your vote, like make these people lobby for your vote. And a lot of people's like, oh, if I don't get reparations, I ain't voting. I said, all right, then don't vote then. Don't vote. Because you ain't getting reparations. I'll tell you that right now. You ain't getting it. So don't vote. Right? It's the idea that these people, a lot of black people in Black America, they use the fact that they don't want to vote as a bargaining chip, as if their vote matters. Republicans shown that they can win without your vote. Trump is the only Republican president in recent memory to actively go after the black vote. And how did the black voters reward him for his attention, for his attempt to try to cater to them? With a non-vote. Voting for Joe Biden, the one who told you, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. But but all of a sudden, if I say, I want to vote Republican, I'm a Trumper. I'm a Trump supporter. I like the Republican Party. I like the Republican policies. Somehow you want to call me a coon. Make it make sense. At one hand, they complain, the black vote is in an abusive relationship with the Democratic Party. And then someone of your people advocate, hey, let's try a different direction. No, you're a coon for that. Those racist Republicans, who told you that Republicans were racist? Democrats. School system. Ran by who? Democrats. I already showed you the evidence of this. But it makes no sense to me. This is how I know the black community is in an echo chamber. Right? And then when the few black men come out and speak out against it, y'all want to get mad. The Democrat Party only benefits single unmarried women, which is the black woman. That's it. That's why black women are 94%. That's why black women are seen as the most loyal Democratic voter. You're doing things that's actively hurting your community, your people in the long run, right? Because if Republicans had their way and they banned abortion, the black community today would have been the second largest population in America in 2024 if abortion was banned in 1972. Doesn't that come with a lot of political power? We could make some noise if we were the second largest population in America. But no, we went along with the Democratic path and look what happens to it. Black people don't seem to understand trade-offs. And that's what black conservatives understand. We understand we're making a trade-off. We understand there's no perfect solutions. And until black America lives in reality, they're going to continue getting manipulated and misused. I'm going to let the video play out and then I'll give my final thoughts.
Some of it might be not liking the message, but some of it might be some actual online influence operations. Are you concerned at all that some of the stuff is artificial?
It certainly could be happening. I mean, I know that for a fact when they looked into the years between, say, 2014 and 2020, they saw that there were actual Facebook pages created by Russia, but those pages, well, they were playing both sides of the equation.
Yeah,
they were inflaming Trump supporters, but they were also planning BLM rallies, right? They were inflaming both sides to try to destroy the country.
But that is the Russian propaganda model, where you create polarization and then you get people so frustrated that people just kind of give up and go to the couch. And so I'm just saying there is something happening with black men. Some of it is the pain of going to all these funerals and seeing, young men after young men put in the ground and nothing happening.
Black on black crime put more black men in the ground than police brutality, right? This is the problem. There's another thing wrong with you old heads. Because when the young folks are telling you, I'm seeing all these young black rappers getting killed by other black men. We need stronger law enforcement, right? Black victims are disproportionately represented, even though black people make 13% of the population. 36% of victims are black. How is that? We're overrepresented as victims of violent crime, as victims of crime. And who's the biggest perpetrator? Black people. Another black person. We're 5 times more likely to victimize each other than other groups are victimizing each other. But when black conservatives call for stronger law enforcement, you're being racist, police brutality. Excuses. This is just a smokescreen. You're not focusing on actual problems. You focus on narratives because you know the Republicans have the solutions to fix a lot of the problems that black people complain about time and time and time again. It's just you're not willing to go to the Republicans. You're not willing to vote conservative off of some emotional BS. And that's the truth. That's the truth of the black community. That's what's wrong with the black community. Because nothing gets done with your feelings. It's time the black community move logically, not emotionally. And Democrats like Van Jones know this. Black women, they don't care because at the end of the day, they to keep their narrative of strong independent, they need the government to be an insurance policy just in case they can't maintain their independent lifestyle. That's the black women's reason for staying loyal to the Democratic Party. For black men, they want opportunities. They want to be able to make a high amount of income. Black men are more likely to be more entrepreneurial. And who supports entrepreneurship? The Republican Party. They want to get money. Republican Party. They want to remove special treatment for women and minorities. That gives at least the black man a chance to make it the same rate in corporate America as black women. Because black women got double advantage, double special treatment. They're a woman and they're black. So that means DI overwhelmingly benefits black women, not black men so much. Black men want an equal playing field where they can actually compete in corporate America. Another reason to vote Republican. But the old heads won't look at us crazy. You're going to look at us sideways. Oh, why are you supporting Trump? Why you don't think? Do you even think, like, sit back and think, why are the young men going towards Trump so much? Let me look into that. No, instead they use this as a struggle session to try to convince you to still vote Democrat. Make it make sense. I'm done.
Some of it is this victim narrative that is coming forward that just says it's almost like it's disempowering. If you're black, you can't do anything. It's just systemic racism. Nothing you can do. I think that is a turnoff. But there is something happening on social media that we need to look at because I've never seen this much despair from a group of people who usually are the spark plugs for hope in our community.
Now,
I think the problem that Van Jones has is that he doesn't want to recognize that a lot of black men just have a logical, functional reason to vote Republican, and why we push more black people to do that. Because if you're going to do the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result, that's insanity. It's insanity to sit here and expect that the Democrats have all the solutions for you. They don't. I think the black community got enough out of the Democratic Party, and right now the Democratic Party is now being more of a net negative than a net positive for the black community. The black community switched from Republicans to Democrats. I don't see no reason why the black community can't switch from Democrat to Republican. But the problem is a lot of black Democrats have a conflict of interest with that. That's why I'm saying black Democrats can't be pro-black. They can't. Because a lot of policies that they push is anti-pro-black. How can you justify abortion when abortion negatively affects the black community's population numbers? We gave up future political power so women can have the right to kill their children? Make it make sense. How is that a pro-black message? Anything that disproportionately hurt black people is racist, is it not? So how come abortion is not racist, black Democrat? These are a lot of concerns that a lot of black conservatives have. And then you want to get mad when people start trending conservative. Make it make sense. Every argument you make for abortion is the same argument I can make for slavery. Try me. All you have to do, any abortion argument you make, replace abortion with slavery. It'll make exactly the same sense. So I don't know how abortion is pro-black. This is what I'm saying, bro. Democrats are not pro-black. They never been. Democrats have been pro-Democrat. And they'll sell you a dream. They'll sell you a narrative. They'll sell you their side of the issue that they think will appeal to black people. And it's up to black people to discern for themselves if that policy direction is correct or not. And it's up to me as a conservative to make that argument why it will benefit them too. But the Democrats are not doing that. The Democrats are selling a narrative. They're just trying to say, oh, let's smear the Republicans. They're racist. You don't want to vote for a racist party. Well, Martin Luther King and them did vote for a racist party, but they put their feelings aside and did what was logical and best for their people. And that's what the black community needs to get back to. But, I digress. Just a black conservative speaking. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section below. What your guys' thoughts about this whole situation. Your thoughts of some of my commentary on this video. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I really do appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.